1999 was a weird time to be an American Sonic fan. Imagine, hype starts brewing for the greatest, most ambitious Sonic game yet. No! The Blue Blur is set to star in his first full 3D adventure on what's set to be one of the most advanced consoles on the market. Cowboy Knuckles was about to debut on Western shores on my 3rd birthday, thanks to ADV Films. Sega Smash Pack 1 was released to Windows computers, boasting a whopping 8 classic games, one of which, of course, being none other than Sonic Spinball. The official Archie comics just did whatever the fuck this is. All these radically different interpretations of the fastest hedgehog alive, and then you catch a glimpse at something even more groundbreaking than any of the above.
Triplets born, the throne awaits, a seer warns of a deadly fate.
An epic storyline, unforgettable characters, countless pulse-pounding moments, enough original music to fill its own dedicated jukebox, and a cliffhanger for the ages. With such a legendary 40-episode run, it's no wonder Sonic Underground would go on to both outpace and outlive Sonic's rough transition to 3D, the now-forgotten dogshit 3D game with the broken physics and the cringe faces. It's also of no surprise that the show would go on to be dubbed and broadcast in upwards of 20 countries, including the very part of the world that brought us Sonic to begin with. Right? Consider for a moment you're, say, scrolling down the Wikipedia page of legendary seiyuu Megumi Ogata. What would be a career-defining role for most any other voice actor is practically no more than another gig for Ogata. Yu Yu Hakusho's Kurama, Sailor Uranus, Cardcaptor Sakura's Yukito.
En tout cas, tu as l'air en pleine forme.
I downloaded the fucking French dub by mistake. Shinji Ikari, Komiata Nagido, and fucking Manic? The Hedgehog? That absolutely cannot be real. But wait, the Japanese language version of this page says much the same. Did Sonic Underground really get a Japanese dub? The rumor, as perpetuated, is roughly as followed. Sonic Underground was broadcast once in its entirety on Japanese television. It never had any home media releases and is currently lost. Not even a single clip of this Japanese version seems to exist online. However, an incomplete voice cast is available. Looking around, most of the conversation on the subject is confusion from the last few years in particular. People asking, hey, what's this I've heard about a Japanese dub of this bizarre French-American Sonic cartoon? Most dismiss it hand over fist, citing a lack of evidence and the generally anomalous nature of such a dub existing at all. However, for every argument as to why it doesn't exist, yet another piece of anecdotal evidence nags at the back of the internet's collective mind. For one thing, newer pieces of Western Sonic media get dubbed in Japanese, both Sonic Boom and the film series, for example. There are also some really obscure dubs of the 90s Sonic shows that have only surfaced in the past few years, including a Korean dub of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. If you look for a Japanese version of Underground, you'll see the show uploaded in Japanese by its current rights holders, WildBrain, although these are just the English language episodes and don't feature so much as Japanese subtitles. Also, you'd be surprised what wound up getting dubbed for Japanese audiences. Code Lyoko got dubbed over there. Like, what? You guys already have anime. Lastly, the supposed Japanese voice cast has been proliferated all over Wikipedia, as well as several fan wikis in multiple languages, no less. While this inconsistency is in and of itself proof that Wikipedia certainly isn't a be-all and all source, Wikipedia does feature an extensive revision history for all its pages, which I figured may shed some light into either some definitive proof or at least this rumor's source. I'm going to spare you on the details of all of my multiple day-spanning dumpster dive into countless minute tweaks to about 24 Wikipedia and fandom articles. It really was not interesting. However, it was quite fruitful. See, I was able to pinpoint the 2 Wikipedia users who first proliferated the existence of a Japanese Sonic Underground dub on the website, and they both come from the same region. One I'll talk a bit more about later, and a series of edits attached to an IP address that routes back to nowhere else but Brazil. For those who don't know, Brazil has an extensive relationship with Sega that's unlike anything anywhere else. A cocktail of socioeconomic factors has resulted in the Sega Master System and Mega Drive being the de facto video game consoles in the region, alongside grey market mod-chipped PS2s. As in, they're some of the only home consoles most Brazilian gamers ever had access to, with other systems and even PC parts being, as one Brazilian Redditor put it, pornographically expensive. To outsiders, this looks like Bizarro Land. 8-bit consoles sporting art of modern Sonic raises the Dendy plug-and-play flag buried within any good Christian's brain, yet they're 100% legal and official. I've left some links in the sources to videos that are far more thorough than I have the space to be here, but the key takeaway for the time being is that Brazil Sonic fans are simultaneously among the world's most passionate, yet most insulate, especially during the 2000s when the internet was less centralized. This meant if I wanted to find the source of these claims about Underground, and if my instincts were right, Portuguese language fan sites were realistically going to be the place to look. Underground was fully dubbed, songs included, for the country, after all. Of course, I didn't have any clue on the first place to look, so I asked Twitter, and pretty much every site has gone offline and is poorly archived online. I scoured to the best of my ability, but what's left of Orkut's premier Sonic board has just a few scant pages archived, none of which mention anything about the dub. And the similarly ubiquitous Power Sonic forum shut all the way down in the 2010s, and when it was revived, none of its original posts came with. However, the website that was a forum for is surprisingly decently archived. However, its pages on Underground never once mention a Japanese dub. This leads me to my theory on the rumor's origin. The aforementioned Wikipedia user who actually had an account has been an extremely dedicated information maven in the Portuguese language Wikipedia world for a decade and a half, so I really don't think he'd spread totally made up shit on purpose. This leads me to believe that somewhere in the internet's Brazilosphere, like say the original Power Sonic forum, a thread was made to the effect of, what would your ideal voice cast for a Japanese version of Sonic Underground, Sonic Saturn, and Adventures of Sonic be? Saturn also has or had a few stray Japanese voice credits listed, but they're not nearly as prominent. In that theoretical thread, some voices were discussed. You know who would be perfect as Sonic? The voice of Anpanman. Anpanman, by the way, has aired on TV in Brazil. Tomohisa Aso, who did a few voices in the similarly Brazil-aired Ultraman Tiga, would make a good, Dingo. Sure, Dingo. And yeah, Megumi Ogata is the only choice for Manic. Perhaps then our dear Wikipedia editor stumbled upon this and misread or misinterpreted the thread's premise and thought they were discussing a real dub of the show, then updated the Wikipedia page. This is exclusively a theory. I can't confirm this is the case, but this is where my research has led me. Still, there are a few aspects of this rumor that actually don't seem to have their roots in the Brazilian Sonic scene. I couldn't figure out where to fit it in, but I got really excited when I was researching and I saw this video titled Sonic Underground Japanese Intro, but well... Needless to say, this is fan-made. First of all, there's this bizarre fandom wiki called the Japanese Animation Wiki, and on it they list a Japanese voice for nearly every character in the show. Yuko Mita as Mindy, Hiroyuki Tsuru as Bartleby, Junichi Kanemaru as Knuckles' great-grandpa. Junichi Kanemaru is the current voice of fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. This is not even convincing misinformation. And yeah, most of this isn't corroborated on any of the other older instances of the rumor. These names were added in 2015 by a very mysterious fandom user. I'm pretty sure they just made it up all for the sake of completeness, since previous versions listed the rest of the cast as a bunch of question marks. The other weird anomaly is the presence of an alleged air date that comes from the first iteration of the Japanese Wikipedia article of Sonic Underground that was only first created back in 2020. This was removed from subsequent edits, but it's worth noting this page has a lot of bizarre problems, chiefly among them being that its only source is the Sonic Wiki, even now. So, this Wikipedia page once listed Sonic Underground aired in Japan from March 4th, 2004 to February 1st, 2005. This is exceptionally bizarre to me, both because that puts it a whopping 5 years out from the show's initial American air date, but more importantly because fucking Sonic X was already airing, and Sonic is not as popular in Japan as he is over here. So the idea that two radically different Sonic cartoons airing over there at the same time is just inconceivable to me. No, judging by the creator of the page's edit history, they clearly have a big affinity for Western cartoons and probably fudged the details in an attempt to save their Sonic Underground article from deletion. Wikipedia has notability guidelines, and if something doesn't register as notable enough, it'll be deleted, so I can see the argument that this obscure spin-off Sonic cartoon that never even aired or was available to Japanese audiences wouldn't really need a Japanese language Wikipedia page. But if we happen to say it did have a Japanese release, hey, sure, that's notable. So, after all my research, I must confess I'm pretty staunchly of the mindset that this dub does not, in fact, even exist. Which breaks my heart. I love the idea of this thing being real, but it just doesn't add up. For one thing, this would be an expensive dub. 40 episodes is a lot, and like every episode has an original song that would also need to be dubbed. Japanese actors are lifers. Again, Junichi Kanemaru has been voicing Sonic since Adventure all the way back in '98, and the idea of Underground getting a dub and Kanemaru not getting the role of Sonic is just baffling to think about, and that also goes for the rest of the Sonic characters who appear in Underground. Also, this is a smaller point, Underground was cancelled. Spoiler alert, they may have made a vow, but their mother was never found. Why would they dub a show whose story was never even completed? I did some digging into Japanese Twitter users' posts about Underground, and not a single person mentions having seen it growing up, or anything like that. Most of the fans talking about it are just baffled by the show supposedly having aired over there, while there is no proof of it. Same as us over here. Globally, as far as I could tell, there's more confusion over the rumor than there is anyone continuing to claim it's real or that they've seen it. Because, if I'm correct, it's not a rumor anyone desperately upheld as true. It's a byproduct of a decade of oversight and cultural, linguistic telephone more than anything else. Lastly, there are a lot of claims and anecdotes out there about Sega of Japan, and Yuji Naka in particular, having a general distaste for America's many takes on Sonic, with some even connecting the dots that Sonic X was a direct course correction on Sega's part to better unify Sonic as a brand in the 2000s. It's no secret that Sega's protective of Sonic in some extremely weird ways, having a ban on depicting currency in Sonic's world, barring male Sonic characters from wearing fucking pants. In fact, one of Sonic Underground's writers once stated that the first few episodes had to be partially reanimated in the animatic stage because Sega didn't approve of the four-fingered look the characters initially had, because characters having less than 5 fingers is too reminiscent of certain unsavory practices committed by the Yakuza, certified dame moments. This clearly signals that Sega of Japan had taken a more active role in the show's approval process when compared to previous Western shows, given that both Sonic Saturn and Adventures of feature four-fingered characters. You'd also think that they'd have some issues with the fact that nobody in this entire fucking show looks like they're from Sonic, except for Sonic's family and Knuckles. I don't know, I never claimed any of this made sense. These are the people who demanded Japanese onomatopoeia be left into the English language version of Sonic Adventure 2. So, with their preemptive criticisms during the show's production and the later production of Sonic X, I get the feeling Sega had no interest in entertaining Underground domestically to begin with. I know this video was a little short compared to my last few, but honestly, there just wasn't as much to say as I expected. Pretty cut and dry case here. In part, this video also serves as a bit of a stopgap for some really big, complicated, research-intensive videos I've been putting the majority of my time into. Also, the fact that I'm moving soon. In the meantime, if you want some more Sonic stuff from yours truly, I made a video on how much I loved Sonic Adventure last year that's honestly one of my favorite videos I've ever made. I managed to compare Nights into Dreams to Yayoi Kusama installations in it. That's insane.